Killer doll has a baby with a human? Shocking ending. Hi, it's Panda Movies here. Today, I'm going to explain the horror movie called Seed of Chucky. Warning, there are spoilers ahead. Enjoy the video. The movie opened with Glen, a living doll who is also the child of Chucky and Tiffany, having a nightmare wherein he murdered the parents of a little girl, starting with the father, whom he stabbed to death, and the mother, who slipped out of the bathtub and hit her head on the bathroom floor. When he woke up, he was living as a dummy for a ventriloquist. Later that night, when he was woken up in his cage where he was kept, they did a show. His master constantly abused him on and off stage and made him work against his will. Cut to a movie shooting about the legend of the killer dolls, Chucky and Tiffany, starring Jennifer Tilly, where the man playing a murdered Santa Claus stormed off the shooting. Jennifer had trouble finding her next role and decided on being the Virgin Mary in her next movie. One night, Glen saw a preview of the new horror film featuring Chucky and Tiffany dolls rebuilt from their original remains, and he was overjoyed to know that his parents were still alive, and that he, in fact, wasn't an orphan. Then, Glen escaped Psych out of desperation to find out who his parents were. When Psych opened his cage to torture him again, he took the chance to free himself from the cage and ran down the street and jumped onto the back of a pickup truck, while Psych chased him down the street. Hours later, Glen arrived in Hollywood. Meanwhile, Jennifer was in an audition and was rejected after she read some lines with a producer, but after flirting with him and seducing him to give her a second chance, she was able to invite him to her place to talk about her ideas for the role. Glen then found himself in a prop room on the set of the movie. He then spotted Chucky and Tiffany's dolls on the floor, covered in plastic. He then revived them using a voodoo amulet called the Heart of Damballa that they left him in the previous movie. When Chucky and Tiffany woke up, they didn't know who he was, but when he showed them the Made in Japan mark on his wrists, they immediately learned that he was their son. Chucky collapsed, but Tiffany was ecstatic and embraced Glen. A propsman then entered the room and grabbed Tiffany to take apart, but was shocked when he saw a beating heart when he opened the back of Tiffany, and Chucky then used a wire to decapitate him. Shortly after, Jennifer entered the room to collect the candy she put inside Chucky's overall. When Tiffany saw Jennifer, she was stunned. He then grabbed the dead man's head and played with it, but after discovering that it was an actual head, Jennifer dialed 911. As Jennifer was walking out of the building and preparing to leave, Chucky, Tiffany, and Glen smuggled a ride in her limousine to her house. When they arrived at Jennifer's house, they went up the attic to hide and to put Glen to bed. As they were tucking him in, he asked their motives for killing after seeing them kill the technician. This surprised Chucky and Tiffany, who were at a loss for words, until Chucky responded that it was a hobby, and it made them calmer. Glen expressed his belief that violence is wrong. Tiffany then agreed with Glen and urged Chucky that their killing habit is an addiction, and that they should stop it once and for all because they were already parents, and for the sake of their child. On the other hand, Tiffany feels like a parent and follows Glen's lead. While Jennifer and Redmond were making out in the living room, a paparazzi named Peter Peters was taking photos from afar and also caught Chucky's silhouette through the window, ejaculating. Chucky and Tiffany began their plan to transfer their souls to Jennifer and Redmond, starting with Tiffany knocking Redmond out while they were on the couch. Tiffany then terrified Jennifer by popping out behind the couch, asking for an autograph, and then knocking her out too by throwing a heavy metal object on her head while she was running away. Chucky and Tiffany then dragged their bodies to the bedroom, where Tiffany inseminated Tiffany with Chucky's sperm using a turkey baster. Chucky then woke Glen up for a late-night drive. While driving, they crashed Britney Spears' car, which kept on overtaking them down a hill. Chucky and Glen then arrived at Peter's darkroom, where he was inspecting Chucky's photo. When Chucky was about to kill him, Glen, out of mercy and pity, tried to warn Peters that Chucky was about to attack, but he accidentally killed himself by stumbling into a shelf and causing a jar of sulfuric acid to fall into his head. Chucky was so happy, thinking that it was Glen's tactic to kill him, and took a picture to celebrate. He also told Glen that they would never speak to his mother about the incident that night. Jennifer woke up the following morning not remembering anything, and recalled everything that happened the night before as a dream. Tiffany then started her recovery from being a murderer and read a book on how to recover from an addiction. She read that addicts should make amends to the people they have affected, so she called the wife of her first victim and apologized, but the wife was very confused and broke down. Later that night, Jennifer invited Redmond to dinner to break the news that she was pregnant. He denied this and revealed that he previously had a vasectomy, leaving Jennifer confused. He also tells Jennifer that, in light of her pregnancy, she is fired from his film. Tiffany's strong dislike of Redmond's behavior made her be tempted to kill him, but she immediately called an AA meeting to talk about her possible slip-up. The person on the other line told her that slip-ups don't define her, so she went ahead and eviscerated Redmond in anger when Jennifer was taking a call in the kitchen, which Glen witnessed. Tiffany then frantically explained that it was just a slip-up. The next day, Jennifer wakes up to find herself with a full pregnant belly, with Tiffany claiming that voodoo pregnancy tends to be faster. Chucky then attacked Jennifer when she was calling Joan, while Tiffany pretended to be Jennifer. Jennifer was tied to the bed. Tiffany, pretending to be Jennifer, invited Stan over, capturing him and tying him to the bed beside Jennifer to take Redmond's place. Jennifer's assistant, Joan, arrived and entered the house. She was shocked to see Jennifer and Stan tied to the bed. She tried to help her, but she was killed with a makeshift flamethrower. Chucky was shocked to see that Glen had become Glenda, Glen's murderous twin sister. Tiffany then smacked Glenda back at Glen, who was horrified at what had happened. Then, after giving birth to a boy, Jennifer gave birth to a girl as well. This shocked everyone. Tiffany realizes that both Glen and Glenda can inhabit the two children. Tiffany then yelled at Chucky to start the rituals because the police were breaking into the house, and Chucky became so fed up with everything that he wasn't able to continue on with the spell. Chucky no longer wished to become human and preferred to stay the notorious living killer doll that he was. Tiffany, who was disgusted by how Chucky had changed, decided to leave with Glen and reject Chucky. Furious, Chucky hurled a knife at Tiffany, but Stan got in the way and hit him instead. The police entered the house to discover Joan's burnt body and Jennifer tied to the bed with dead Stan on her lap. Jennifer was rushed to the hospital, where Tiffany and Glen followed her. She was drugged and fell unconscious. As Chucky was breaking the door with an axe, Tiffany performed the ritual, but was bludgeoned to the head by Chucky. Glen, who was very angry, attacked Chucky and proceeded to cut off all his limbs. 5 years later, while having a birthday celebration for the twins, a nanny resigned because Glenda terrified her. Jennifer, who was already Tiffany, then smashed the nanny's head with a Tiffany doll until she died. The movie ended with Glen discovering Chucky's severed arm when he opens a birthday present.